Hi. Okay, so last night I saw the movie Cuckoo with Hunter Schafer, and I didn't really see much about the movie going into it, and I was like, I just need to see a movie. So it's a horror movie, came out this year, obviously, with Hunter Schafer in the lead. All these I'm just repeating the same thing. I don't know if it was trying to copy like a past movie or anything, but it's like supernatural horror. Yeah. Okay, so my overall review of the movie is that it was very confusing and I didn't really get it. And I don't like to say that I don't get movies. Like, I like to kind of think about it for like 20 seconds at least, and then like try to understand it. But if we're being honest, I just was so confused the entire time. And then when it ended, I was like, I think I got like one of the points they were trying to make. So I just think like it's a confusing premise that they could have like fleshed out all the characters more and made it make a little bit more sense. And then by the end, they like kind of explain things to you, but it's like they're explaining the wrong things and you just end up being confused. There's some good jump scares. It wasn't the scariest movie I'd seen. They're also like the monsters in it were not that terrifying. Like sometimes you watch a horror movie and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a very scary creature. This was like, I could stare at this, it's fine. So like that was good. Relatively good pacing, you know, some good action scenes. It was a good watch. It was a confusing watch. If you're watching this video, you're probably my friend, and only like a couple of my friends actually like horror movies, so I doubt you're gonna watch this. So we're gonna move into me trying to remember the plot. Okay, so Hunter Schafer is my age. She's 25. She's playing a 17-year-old, which is ridiculous because no, that's not what a 17-year-old looks like. But she plays a 17-year-old whose family is like moving to Germany and they're living at a resort because I think Hunter Schafer's dad is like gonna build his own resort or something. But basically Hunter Schafer's dad, oh yeah, Hunter Schafer's name is Gretchen. Gretchen's dad like remarried and to a woman, I think her name was Beth, and they have a daughter named Alma. Alma can hear but she can't speak, and part of the reason that they're at the resort is so like Alma can get treatment or whatever. And Gretchen is very typical like child of divorce. She's like, I don't have a sister, that's my dad's daughter. And they also make it known that Gretchen's mom died recently, and so she like keeps calling her mom's phone because she likes to hear her mom's voice on the voicemail message. And so she'll like call her mom and like cry and complain about being in the Alps in Germany, and she's like, everything's sad and I miss you and I'm gonna go to America. And so like it's like summertime and there's the owner of the resort is Koenig, or Koenig, however you pronounce it. It's played by the guy who played the Beast in the live action Beauty and the Beast, who is also on Downton Abbey. He's a cutie patootie. So he like gives Gretchen a job working the front desk at the resort, and he's like immediately a weirdo. He's like, I'll drive you home, do not go biking on the resort at night, don't do it, don't. So of course like the first night she like volunteers to be night shift so some other girl can go out, and then she locks up and bikes home. And it's like, good job, Gretchen, you had one job and you immediately did the opposite of everything you were told to do. We love it. And so one weird thing about the resort is that Gretchen keeps seeing like women just start vomiting on the resort property. So like she'll be working the front desk and a woman will be like walking in, and then she'll just like throw up on the floor, and Gretchen will be like, are you okay? And the woman will just like ignore her and leave. Sorry, it happens like twice. And I like that the women don't even say anything to Like they literally just like walk in and there's like food and they'll just like eat something or like just chug a Sprite and then vomit, and Gretchen's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" And they just leave. Can't even give a like just vomit out of there. And so like Gretchen's biking back to her family's house on the resort, and I really like the scene because like it's nighttime and there are like lights along the street and you can just barely in the background see, it looks like somebody just runs across the street in the background, and you're like, that's terrifying, cool. And then like she like looks to the side and she can see like a woman, and I believe it looks like it's a woman in a dress, or maybe not, just like you can see a woman running like out of one of the houses and just like sprinting through the woods, and she just kind of like stares and just does not intend to do anything about that. And then she's like biking and she's got her headphones in like an idiot. Women do not have headphones in at night. You need to protect yourself and be aware of your surroundings. So she's like listening to her music, whatever, and she's like looking down. She can see the shadow of herself in the bike when the streetlights pass over her. So it's like darkness and then her shadow and darkness and her shadow. And then she like starts to see something and you're like, ooh, what's that? Once again, really cool, really cinematic. And you can see like a hand and she's like, what the fuck? And then you see like a head and it's somebody like reaching towards her, and she turns around and there's like a woman with like glowing red eyes underneath sunglasses like running at her with like black veins, screaming. And Gretchen obviously freaks out and just starts pedal to the metal with it. Also, why is it that whenever there's like a vaguely humanoid evil supernatural creature, their veins always become black? Why? It's stupid when you think about it. Like, is it implying that their blood is black? Because blood is actually really fascinating, how the color of your blood can change your complexion. Because like if it really did happen that your blood was black, then like it wouldn't just be the veins that would appear black. It would change your entire skin tone. But anyway, I digress. It just bothers me. And also, why is it only a little bit black? Like, why is it like when they scream, like the veins all of a sudden turn black and then they stop screaming and it like calms down? It's stupid. I just don't get it. It's needless. So she's like biking really fast, and then there's this woman chasing her, and she's like, oh my god. And then there's like a building that's like a hospital, and she's like trying to get in, but the door's locked. She like buzzes and they're like, what? And she's like, let me in. And so they like unlock the door and she like runs inside, but there's a second glass door and she hits glass and she's bleeding from her head, and the creepy sunglasses, red eyes woman is like staring at her from outside looking like she's about to attack. And then she sees like a police car, and then a woman opens up the interior door, and as soon as she looks back up, the creepy sunglass woman is gone. Obviously, because we cannot have other people seeing the supernatural freaky creature. So the police question her and she like tells them everything, and they're like, you're pretty insane, you hit your head pretty hard. And she's like, I know, but like listen to me. So obviously they don't, and while she's at the hospital she like sees her dad's there with her little sister, and she's like, Dad, there's some freaky and weird stuff going on here. And her dad's like, do you have to take up so much of my attention? Like, your little sister is here for treatment and we need to pay attention to her. Stop being so dramatic. And she's like actively bleeding, blood dripping down her temple, and her dad's like, I don't have time for you. So funny. If my parents did that to me, I don't know how I would react. And so then she's like working at the front desk again, and some like hot lady comes in and they're automatically flirting, and it's stupid. And Gretchen decides to like run away, so she steals all the money from the register and like gets in a car with this woman who's like, we're gonna go to Paris. And it's like, okay, what? Yeah, go to Paris with a stranger? No. So they're like driving, and then there's like a woman in the road who's probably evil sunglasses woman. I honestly can't remember. They get into a car accident, and once again, like, Gretchen breaks her arm and she's bleeding from her head again. This girl cannot catch a break to save her life. And then creepy sunglass lady comes and she's like screaming, and then I don't know, she like passes out or something. So she's recovering from the hospital and her dad's like, we're here for your little sister. Stop doing this. And she's like, Dad, there's some really weird stuff happening. Oh yeah, and when she gets in the car accident, like this weird thing happens where when sunglasses lady approaches her, she like screams and it makes this really weird noise that at first you're like, that's terrifying, but they do it so often in the movie that you get sick of it. But like she just like repeats, so she'll like scream and then she like goes back 5 seconds in time, and it's just like a repeat of that scene, but she's like becoming more conscious that the same thing is happening over and over. Who knows? And so then like, I don't know, she still has her broken arm, she's recovering. The creepy German Mr. Kronig dude is like, Gretchen, you've been causing a lot of trouble. I've been trying to be an evil dude, and you've been bringing a certain amount of morality here, and I can't have that, so I have to go all sketchy now. And so I think at some point in the movie, I honestly forget when, Gretchen started working with a dude who said he was a police officer investigating the sunglasses woman. So they like tried to find her and it was a whole thing. So then Mr. Koenig is like, creepy German dude is like, all right, I have your stuff in this room, like just follow me into this room and I'll give you your stuff. Yeah. So of course Gretchen follows him and he brings her into this room with like, it looks like an indoor swimming pool. Like there's like floor to ceiling windows on one end, and then there's a swimming pool with like stairs going down, but it's empty, and there's a bed inside, like 5 to 6 feet down, and you're like, now what am I supposed to make of that? And then he, you know, locks the door behind her and he's like, this is what you get for misbehaving. And she's like, no, let me out. I think she was screaming that, rightfully so though. And then he's like, all right, time for our experimentation. And then he like opens one of the floor to ceiling windows, and like a woman comes in and she's making the same sounds as the sunglasses lady. And he's like, all right. And she starts doing that like screamy thing where they go back 5 seconds in time. And so like Gretchen like sees that this thing's coming into the room, so she freaks out and she like goes down to the bed and like grabs one of the wooden boards on the bed and like breaks it to make like a makeshift weapon. And she does that 3 times. And each time that they go back in time, the woman outside is getting closer and closer. So she's like using it to get closer to Gretchen while Gretchen still doesn't have time to like, I don't know, prep. It's very confusing. And then she just like keeps screaming at Gretchen, and they do this thing, like you see one of the creatures like attack another woman, and the woman's like sitting down, and then they start like furiously rubbing their leg like this, and then the camera cuts to something else, and when you look back, the woman's like passed out on the ground that the creature's attacking, and then the creature, who is just a woman, is like crouching on the ground like this. I have shorts on, calm down. She's crouching on the ground like this with her hand under her, and there's a wet spot that looks like she just, I don't know, what's the word, why can't I, like, it looks like her water just broke, and then she's like got a hand under her crotch and like lifts it up, and it's just like clear jelly, which is clearly supposed to be discharge, let's be real. And the creature's like, that's the noise they make, and then like reaching out, and I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, you just went into labor and now you're holding a discharge covered hand towards an unconscious person. I don't know what the plan is. And then Mr. Koenig's like, all right, we're good for today. What? And he like walks in with headphones, so like you can't, I don't know, creature can't bother you if you have headphones, and he can like kind of control them. And so like Gretchen's just unconscious on the bed, and then you have this like hunched creature with the slime hand like and then like I don't know, fighting breaks out, and then the police officer that Gretchen was helping earlier comes and like shoots Mr. Koenig and then shoots the creature to kill it. And Mr. Koenig's like, no, you can't kill the creature. We're doing experimentation or whatever. Because, you know, bad guy has to protect his experiment. And then he and Gretchen run. Honestly, I'm getting so sick of this recap. So they basically realize that Gretchen's sister is one of the creatures, and that's why she can't talk. And so they have Gretchen's sister in a sleep study. Gretchen's sister's name is Alma. And in the sleep, so she's like asleep, and they're like, all right, we're gonna introduce the mom. And they like open up the door to the outside, and they're waiting for the mom to get there. And Gretchen's trying to save her sister, but the police officer is trying to kill her sister because the police officer's like, your sister is some weird creature. And Gretchen's like, yeah, but she's my sister. And as an audience member, you're supposed to be like, wow, character development, let's go. So there's like a whole fight. Mr. Koenig doesn't get killed. He's trying to kill Gretchen. The police officer is trying to kill Mr. Koenig. Gretchen's trying to save her sister, but the police officer is also trying to kill the sister, and then Mr. Koenig is trying to kill Gretchen too. Very confusing. Everybody's trying to kill each other. So, and then the creepy sunglasses lady comes, and she's hunting Gretchen, and then Gretchen ends up killing the sunglasses lady, who is also one of the creatures, obviously. And Gretchen like finds her sister, and she's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And their master plan is to have Gretchen hold her sister, because they're stuck in a closet, and you have Mr. Koenig here and the police officer here, and they're both, you know, Mr. Koenig's trying to kill Gretchen, and the police officer's trying to kill his sister. So Gretchen holds her sister in an embrace, so their heads are right next to each other, and they walk through the room so that neither of them can get a clear shot without killing the other person, because the police officer swore to protect Gretchen, so he can't kill Gretchen on accident. So then they like walk out of there. Do they kill the other guys? I can't even remember. Basically, like, the movie ends with like Gretchen saving her sister, and then the girl that she hooked up with earlier that she got in the car accident with drives Gretchen and her sister away, and you're like, wait, what about her parents who are still at that resort? Like, what are you gonna do? And there was also this like movie moment at the end where Mr. Koenig's like, Gretchen, you can't take Alma away from here. This is a rare species. She has to reproduce. And it's like, cool. So this big movie is a commentary on like women's autonomy and like their control over their own bodies, I guess. I don't know. It felt kind of dumb. And it also felt like that ending was so not explained. Like, there were just so many things that they just didn't explain. Why do the creatures have to wait for their water to break and then hold out just a slime hand like this? What was the point of that? Like, I don't get it. It was very confusing. And I think that the confusion made it less scary. I'm just laughing now at the slime hand. I don't know what the point of that whole thing was. But anyway, if you want to watch the movie, go ahead and see it. I don't care if you see it or not. But yeah, hope you have a nice night. All right, bye.